Ladies and gentlemen, Jank Nation, we're back here with another video. So those who don't know, about a week ago, I finally made my new fight stick, the Jank Box 2.0. And one of the biggest issues we had in the video was an LED thing. I've realized I've been looking all over the internet for this, and as far as I know, when it comes to this Kaimana Paradise board, which I'm using, and you can see right here the Kaimana Paradise board. And I'll put links in the description for what this is. They sell this thing, but there's no videos on it, and the site you used to use to do everything does not exist anymore. So, I'm going to show you from start to finish how to get your lights working and how to program this properly. Mind you, I am not a coder, so don't ask me 1,001 questions, but I'll try to show as much as possible in the video. I'll show you how to install it in your on your fight stick, and I'll show you what the code I have, and I'll even put the code in the description. We'll go from there. But let's begin. Okay, so this is the fight stick I recently put together. I took it all apart. When you get your Kaimana kit, you can get it on Paradise Arcade. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description. You'll get the board itself, which is this right here. This is the brains of the operation and everything, and you'll get 8 LEDs. Now I have obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have technically 12 LEDs, which we're going to use all these for all of them. Since I'm doing an all button layout, we obviously going to need that many buttons and everything. But I'll show you how to install. This is pretty self-explanatory. All you do is have your board. So I'm using the Brook board, Ultimate Fighting board. Pretty straightforward. And we'll put it wherever you want to put. For now, we'll just sit here for example. So sit here. And this will go plugging facing this way. So here's the prongs and the labels facing here. This will be sitting on top of here. There's a bunch of prongs right here. It sits on top, and it's simple. You get this long cable right here, and this is your main cable that runs everything. If you look real closely, this cable is slightly different than the other ones. This has a 4 prongs on it, and it has this little edge-shaped curve on it. But it plugs into here, and then you just loop all the connections together to the to each individual board. Now, and each LED, as you can see, has 2 LED ports on each side, left and right, 2 colors for each one, and this does the whole color spectrum. So we'll do like this, so you can see how it goes. We'll put each LED on the board, and try when you do it, try to do the small side, then the big side, small side, big side, because when you do the daisy chain, and these are the daisy chain wires right here, you'll notice it's small, big, small, big, small, big. But the very first one goes to small, and then we'll do that from there. So do this, and we'll put this all here, just so you can get an idea what to do. Boom, 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 boom. And it actually does not matter when you link these together what order you put these in. So okay. So I think small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big, small, big. And then we got to put the 4 LEDs on the rest of the buttons. This one I might have to do a little different since this is super close to each other. I might have to spin these buttons just a little bit. So let me push these out a little bit, just so you know. Put them sideways so they won't touch each other the wrong way. There we go. Oops, sorry. Sideways like this here, so. And the reason why I'm putting them sideways, the buttons are so close together. If I don't put them sideways, they'll probably hit each other, which I could do probably. So there. Here we go. Here we go. There we go. And here we go. This last one, I'm going to have to turn the other way, actually. The way it's acting, I'm going to have to turn it sideways like this. There you go. And that's that. They all sit in right like this there. So and just to give you an example how they link together, you plug it. If you want to see my full breakdown of linking these together, I do have it in the video when I built the fight stick, by the way. So you plug it here, and I probably should have did the other way around, but it honestly doesn't matter which way you do it, because the code, when we do the code and stuff, we can change whatever order it's in, and we just loop one from. I'll do 1 or 2, and just so you can see how it looks. And this is the part where I wasn't paying attention and some of them were flipped the wrong way. Let me just keep linking away. Do the small one here. And we just keep going and going and going. And now that we did everything, now everything's hooked up together. Like I said, you can loop this any way you want to. From the starting point, I start here to punch 1, punch 2, punch 3, punch 4. Then kick 4, 3, 2, 1. And then my left, my down, my right, and then my up. That's what I kind of do here. Even though it doesn't matter how you want to loop it based on preference, you just have to make sure the order and what you have it on, because this is very important when it comes to coding. So now we're going to start the portion of the code, and I gotta have a little bit of a disclaimer first before we start this whole coding thing. But before we do that, let me take apart this. So in order to code this, before we do anything with the computer, we have to unplug this. The reason why I told you to hook everything up ahead of time, it's just so when it comes to us to doing testing, it'll be simplistic to connect back and forth. So let's take this off, and that's simple. Now we have the board by itself. So let's get to explain this board scenario. Okay, guys, this is the most important thing before you do anything. When you plug this into the computer, do not plug this in while it's plugged into here or the harness of your fight stick. If you do that, this will not work. This is something I learned the hard way. You do not plug anything into this except for the micro USB, which you can see right there. Your micro USB to this, straight to the computer. I repeat, do not plug anything into this while you, except for the micro USB to this to the computer when you're trying to do the coding and everything, because a couple things will happen. This will not show up when you're trying to look through the ports of the system. And this may or may not burn out some things. And do not plug the lights up or you don't wait until after you unplug it and then run it through here. Then you do that. But let's do this. Let's get right into this and let's go crazy. Okay, a little bit of it's good. Now that we unplugged all this together, I basically told you to do this ahead of time. So you when we go plug back and forth, you know what to do and you don't have to worry about doing this later. Another thing, I know you're probably wondering how does these actually stand down. When you put your wiring harness down, which is basically this bag of worms right here, when you plug your wiring harness down to the to these cables and everything, the wire, there's so much wires, it will literally keep this down. So you don't have to worry about this falling out and everything, because the wire harness has so many wires, this will literally push it down. Okay, so the next step is to go to our site, arduino.cc. We want to go to software, and this is the thing that'll help you do the coding and transfer the files to the Kaimana board and everything. So hit software, and then you go under, we'll go in previous releases. We'll do, I think it should be over, not, we don't want the recent one, with the old one. Okay, we want 1.6.5. So download the installer, hit this, you hit the install. I already actually have it on this computer, hence why it says that. And all you do is follow the steps and hit next, install. Simple as that. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, you probably download a file and zipped it like you're supposed to. You should have a file that looks like this. It should say Jankstick final, animations h.cpp, Kaimana cpp, Kaimana h, and Kaimana custom. Right now, this all seems like gibberish, but the only thing that's important is the one with the Arduino logo on it. This file will link all these files together. So we open it. No, we do not want to update the newest one, and let's make this full screen. So right here, this is all the code that make the LEDs work in the Kaimana board. But before we do any of that, let's plug in the Arduino to the computer and go over some stuff about drivers and stuff, and then we'll get into exactly the code itself. Okay, now we plug it to the computer. This is pretty straightforward. You take your micro USB. This takes a micro USB. Plug it straight in here. Should fit snug right there. And you plug it into your computer. Nothing else, just that. And it will light up like this. And you probably heard the driver noise. While this is plugged, it should automatically install the drivers for the Kaimana Paradise board. Just so you know, it should automatically I'm not destroy. Download and install the drivers for the board. Okay, now that the board plugged in, everything should be going fine. But let me show you a couple things here. So there's a thing called tools here, right? Make sure this is set to the Arduino Leonardo, because that's technically the PCB / Arduino you're using. And then whatever COM port you have open, it should say COM point Arduino Leonardo. After you install it, click that, and that's that. That basically tells where all the file. It basically says my computer is hooked up to the Arduino, and it will send the files to that. And we'll go when we get to the end of the video as far as how to transfer the files from the computer to the Arduino. Okay, now we're into the nitty-gritty. This is the part no one got to explain about the whole thing. So this is the coding. The files are split up separately. We got the Jank stick final. This is the file that links everything together. We have the animations. This basically tells all the different animations that happen for the Kaimana Mini and everything. This is another animation file that's linked the two animations together. There are some preset codes in here. I have not used it. Like I said in advance, I am not a coder. I'm still learning this as I'm going. I used to do some coding years ago, but I don't know everything. But I'll at least tell you the really important thing that's said. This is some more files. I recommend not to touch this at all. This is some over-the-top nonsense I will never understand. Kaimana H, this is another scenario files. And you're welcome to try to figure out some things, because there's a couple map function Arduino settings and all of this. This right here under Kaimana.h, this basically shows all the pinouts, how it hooks up to your wiring harness, and how this interprets anything you plug into your Brook fighting board in regards to inputs and stuff like that. But that's not important. You don't have to touch this at all. Okay. Now for the main thing you have to touch. This is Kaimana _ custom.h. This file is by far one of your most important files. So all this stuff right here, we don't know what none of this means. There's cycles and whatever, but that's not important. We're going to get to the nitty gritty. This section right here where it says underneath if def definition LED order _ full. Everything under this, these are all the current buttons that are going to be, this determines what buttons will be lighting up for your board. This will determine the number of LEDs you're using. So let me explain both of these. Now, we have a total of 20, we have a total of 12 buttons, right? Each LED has 2 LEDs on it. I mean, each package of LED has 2 LEDs on it. So the little thing like this, and I'll show in the camera real quick. The little LED right here, as you can see, there's the 2 white dots. It's kind of hard to see. Those are each two each. So because we have 2 of each, we had to put 24 there. That's what it is. We had to save it and everything. But this has already been done for you, so this is the cool part. That's already been done. I already figured that out for you and done. So you're welcome. Now, the crazy part. This right here is the order which the LEDs are in. So the LEDs are in based on however you plugged it in. So whatever you plugged in first, that's determined what it is. And the reason why you see 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, it says 18, 20, 24, whatever. This is actually the order from the beginning of the board, so the first one to the end of the order of stuff you put in. And the even numbers determined for each LED. This thing has a way of already knowing, based on the odd numbers you put in, what's the beginning to end. So since we're talking about LED number 1, button number 1, which in our case would be, let's see, LED number 1 is punch 1, right? So let's get rid of all this. So now you know it goes up to 24. Let's get rid of all this. So 0 to 24. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of all these real quick. And I'm doing this live. This is the old configuration before I switched all this stuff around and figured out this mess. So get rid of all this. And get rid of this. Now, the reason why the home start and select said 0xFF, which means 255, shouts to Hercule for telling me the coding lines for that nonsense. I did not know what that meant originally. But basically, this is telling me that these are going to be basically black. Since I don't have no LEDs putting on the start select button, that's why I did that. So if you have no LEDs you're using, I recommend to put this code on so you don't have to worry about it later on down the line. There. 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 And there. So let's do this in order from which I remember it. So, to give you some insight what we're looking at here we go. Okay, now we're back to the board. Now, I know this looks a little backwards, but let me show you something here. So, think of this as reverse. That will kind of help things. So, this is your punch one. Sorry. Punch one, punch two, punch three, punch four, punch, kick one, kick two, kick three, kick four, up, down, left, and right. Remember that. Okay, so now we need to figure out where we're starting from in the line. I told you earlier in the code that each even number determines the set of lights that are together. So, in this scenario, it would be 0. If I do this correct, 0, since this is the beginning of the line. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, loop over to here, 16, let me move this out the way, 18, 20, and 22, or 24, one or the other. But that's what that is. That's your order. So whatever the first numbers represent, that's where you put those even numbers to. That's the best way to count it. So let's go to the system and put those numbers in. Okay, what did we say? Punch one was 0, 2, 4, 6. Put 6. Okay. And then under that was kick 4. So we do after 6, it's 8, 10, 12, 14. And now we're doing our arrow keys, which that's the end of the chain. We don't have start, select, or anything like that. And I recommend before you keep going with code and stuff, before you change on in case you mess up anything, either save it or have a backup file of this in case anything messes up. So we ended at 14, right? So right now, right is first. So 16. And then down is 18. Right is, wait, this is left. Sorry. I think for a second. 20. And then 22. So that's all of our numbers. We save it real quick. Actually, don't save it, because in case we mess up, we can Control-Z this. But I will usually say, I'm not going to save the one or anything. And then we have our count right here. So we have all the LEDs set. This basically tells where LEDs are going. Okay, well, so now we're done setting what each LED is in the order they are in. Because this is important when we push the buttons. So say, for example, if we didn't change this properly, when I push said buttons, it would not done the code properly. So say if I press, so say if this was at 2, right? If I press the first punt, the fourth punt button, it wouldn't be here. It would have been somewhere else. And we don't want to do it to mix up the order of LEDs or anything like that. Okay, so that's done. That's the order of what you want. That's all you really need to do as far as setting this up. I've took care of everything else. But just to leave you a little tidbit, just in case you want to know, here's the other part of the section here. Okay, so this is your beginning folder right now. So to give you some insight how this kind of works, I'm not, like I said, I'm not the best with this. So let's scroll down a little bit. Scroll. And there's a little comment section that kind of explains certain things. Set LEDs to one of 8 predefined colors selected at random. So the random part of my whole random switch, set LED random color, and an index is basically tells in between whatever the button is. These are the random colors. One of 7 random colors will cycle through every single time. So let's scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. This is irrelevant. Blah blah. Pin left, right, blah blah. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I think it's farther down. Okay, here we go. So see right here where the buttons are, where it says right underneath it says reset status. Blah blah. It's after this. So from the int pull switch void here. By the way, we're in the jank stick final one. So scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down, scroll down. Okay, let's start with the right. So as you can see, it's LED right. This is the right button, basically. The right button on your controller. So here's the most important. Select new color when switch is first active. Basically, it says the moment I press that button, this is what will happen to the thing. Right now, I have it set to, and I'm not gonna go into detail exactly how I change the color to each one you want, but you basically said set LED random color. So every time I push the right button, it will do a random color, and that's how it's set for everything. The only differences throughout the thing is it'll be punch 1, punch 2, punch 3, punch 4, and etc. etc. You can see as it go down, it's the same thing repeating. That's a little bit of a tidbit for you. And there's other little codes and stuff here to get, but right now I'm just trying to at least make it so you can get lights, and every time you push buttons, something random will at least happen. That's all I'm trying to get for you done. And then if you want to get a chance, definitely read the comment section to kind of figure out what it is. I'm going to be trying to learn more of this as we go, as I deal with this more and more. But let's say now let's install the information to your fight stick, or to the Kaimana board now. Okay, to install the stuff from the Kaimana board. Like I said, make sure it's nothing, and I repeat, make sure it's nothing installed or plugged in to said board. I repeat, make sure you not have nothing plugged in to said board. Okay, now, so we have to look for a button called upload. Upload basically says it's uploading it to the Kaimana board. That's all it does. The board, the PCB board we're talking about, uploads to them. And if it does it right, it should do this. If you hit upload, and we'll do it right now as we speak. Upload. It'll do compiling sketch at the bottom here. It'll say uploading. And it says uploading done complete. That's it. That's all you have to do. It's that simple. Unfortunately, there's nobody on the internet that can explain this to anybody, but that's how you do it. So now let's put our fight stick together and see how this all works out together and see if this did exactly what it's supposed to do. So now that the code's been finally put in, we'll put everything together, and this is kind of goes as simple as follows. So you have the board that goes on top, and you put your wiring harness on top of it, which I think the mine is facing this way. And the wire harness goes on top of it. And I'll put links in the chat for the wire harness. Now, mind you, my wire harness and stuff is set basically for just hitbox style. So just so you know, and let me move this out the way so you can kind of see it. So to give you some insight, we have the board on the bottom on there, and then we have this plugged in on top. I'm gonna push this down a little bit more though, just so it won't fall out. And it sits here, like this here. And then we'll plug all our wires up. By the time you plug all the wires up, this will push all the LEDs down. So let's now do that. Okay, now that we hooked up all the wiring together, we can make sure this works. And like I was showing you before, when you put all the wires down, the LEDs won't go in there. I ain't put no tape or anything. Look. See, none of the LEDs fell off at all. None of them fell off. So that's a little tip I was someone. So that's why you say I don't need tape. And by the way, I'm using Sonwell buttons, just so you know. So they haven't moved or anything. The LEDs are still there. It looks pretty nice. And now, this is the part where we hook up our fight stick together and see if everything works. I'll move this cable out the way. There we go. Let's see if this bad boy works. Okay, now it's time for the grand reveal. Now that we hooked up all our buttons together like I showed before, now it's time to officially plug it in. Let's plug in and see what works. And if it should, when I plug in, it should blink the 3 primary colors, red, green, and blue, and then it should go and then it should go into the rainbow singles I was explaining earlier. So let's see. Hey, look at that! Look like sandstorm up in here. Look at that. And now The other part we set, which means every time we push a button, it should be a random color. So let's see. Yep, it's going random color every single time. And then see how they're going up the right way? If I didn't wire this up right, or didn't type in the code properly, when I hit these buttons, it would hit it. Like if I hit up, it would hit down or something like that. But so far, this is working. This is working too. Oh, snap. Freaking sandstorm. If you don't press nothing, it should go back. Oh, look how beautiful that looks. Look at that. Oh, man. So, final thoughts. This is a really cool project to get. I'm glad after all this nonsense and work and everything, this actually looks really good. Look at that. Look how that works. Look how crazy that is. This definitely was a strenuous project from start to finish, building the fight stick and everything. And if you want to check out my fight stick, look at it on the link that's up here on the side of the screen, or this side of the screen, whatever it's going to be on. And this has been a lot of fun. I know the sad thing is there's no information on how to do this. And I figured, like, I need to do justice for the fighting game community, at least show them the starting point where to go. And I'll give a line of code for them. So, because there's, like, no code that really does anything. So, here you go. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments section. The next step for me to do, hopefully, I want to try to put some artwork or something on this. And when that happens, I'll let y'all know. But y'all stay awesome. Y'all stay salty. Y'all stay janky. And peace.